has been quite different to especially someone like me would have expected, as G2 up 2-0 over the absolute unequivocal favorites of this tournament in Gen.G.
Yeah, everyone expecting this 3-0 where the colossal underdogs, Gen.G are struggling to find a single win. Vedius, let's get into the draft though, right into this final game, because the most important step that you can take is not the first step, it is always the next step. And G2, they need to take one more step in this series.
Very, very profound.
That was beautiful.
To finish.
Yeah, that was,
I really liked that.
The bans are going to be the same as what we saw in the previous game. Let's see if this final ban changes things up. G2 closed things out with a rumble.
And the
Gen.G,
Caitlyn was the next
it
one.
looks like they're going to keep consistent with that metric. The problem now for Gen.G is Kog'Maw is something that G2 will immediately be thinking about. They like this bot lane prio. They got
It's also one of the favorites of Gen.G.
Yeah, so will the Nami be picked up? Because even if the Corki is taken away, Ruler's Lucian is still a thing. So the ultimate question is, what will this first pick be? Are they concerned about the Nami? Will they first pick it away? Because I'm fairly confident that G2, if it comes to them with no Nami or Corki locked in, they're taking it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, Hansama and Labrov have been bot gapping Ruler and Duro over and over, and I think that most certainly is one of the large problems that they have faced.
Ooh. This is a bit scary because, like you were saying, the Nami is available, and they can actually pick away the Lulu. Aphelios Lulu is just fine into the Yunara. See what they do decide to do, though, is the Yunara will be locked in as G2 feel like the cards are in their hands once again in this champion select.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Yunara paired alongside Lulu is naturally a very scary bot lane to have.
It's scaly too.
It's also quite scaly, yeah. So G2 taking their time. I was kind of expecting the insta-lock, but this has definitely added a couple of gears to the cog of the thinking machine.
Gears to the cog.
Vedius's cogs are turning right now, for sure.
Yeah. No, I'm genuinely just thinking about the draft. The words are secondary to how my brain is thinking about how they pick.
The cogs and the gears in his brain are also having a little bit of a malfunction.
I mean, this series has malfunctioned me a little bit, I'm not going to lie.
I'm right there with you. I have full sympathy, don't you worry. Is the Shaco going to be at least hovered for a moment?
The thing is, Hans is not an Aphelios player. Of all the AD carries,
what about
I do
a Shaco
player? Don't think he's that. So the Jarvan going to be locked in. Okay, so they're actually saving their AD carry pick for later by denying the Lulu. The question then becomes, do you just pick the Nami and pair it alongside the Yunara?
I guess you could theoretically do that. Duro might be looking for another option as well. He is a known Blitzcrank guy.
Yes, I was recommending Blitzcrank. I think Blitzcrank is so good into Lulu.
I do think that it's a massive confidence pick, though. And if you're down 0-2 in a series, I mean, you're going to have some stones to make that one happen. They did. And you saw what happened.
Lost that game pretty substantially.
That's all right. Neeko is going to be the lock-in a little bit more of a, I guess, stable pick instead of something like that. Blitzcrank, now what is Chovy going to be locking away is the Ambessa Flex. I actually really like this as the option for Canyon or for Kiin.
I think this is a big carry pick for Kiin. As you say, it could be flexed in the jungle, so they're also keeping the counter pick a little bit on edge. But the Aphelios Lulu is kind of the expected when you're taking away the Lulu from the Yunara to break up the synergy. Aphelios starting with green
Lulu
gun.
Shen, though. That's a great bottom lane. One of my favorites.
This is one of his answers into the Ambessa. Early on, it struggles, but later on, it becomes better. I think that they are very much expecting this Ambessa to go top lane, but Gen.G can be flexible.
Also, it gives a lot of extra confidence to Hansama hypercarry here. You've got Lulu protecting and Shen stand united available for bottom lane. So you can play to bottom lane really heavily for G2. And I would say Hans deserves that focus from this team.
Maybe he deserves even more. Maybe we put the Lulu in the mid lane and put a Yuumi in the bottom lane. Let's really go all in.
Let's get a Cillian in there as well somehow.
Yeah, and as the LCK representative, I'd absolutely love to see that. It's okay. The Nocturne going to be taken away from Canyon here. Not going to be switching off the lights this time. And as well, globals are so incredibly powerful. Still, the Aphelios does need to be banned. But
I'm
like you were saying,
happy about the Aphelios fan. I don't love Hansama on Aphelios. He has had a fantastic tournament, don't get me wrong, but Aphelios has just not been like Jinx is more of the type of champion that I prefer Hansama.
What about
the
Jinx gets banned and then he plays Kog'Maw?
Now, Kog'Maw, they used to play, I mean, with Mickey, he used to play Kog'Maw Brawl.
Yeah.
That used to be one of his go-to bot lanes. Of course, with the Brawl gone and Lulu available, maybe
I do really like Kog'Maw.
So,
just in
Vedi,
general.
when G2 hovered the Aphelios, were they baiting by saying, oh, look.
I don't think so, but I like to think so.
That'd be an incredible next level hover.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we're going to stomp you.
Dylan in draft is like, hover the Aphelios, guys. Just hover. No, actually, I think we should go for the Shen.
Really?
Oh, they banned it? Oh, no.
Shoot.
I guess we'll go for the other option.
Shucks, dang.
Beautiful. Well, the Wukong going to be taken away from Canyon as they continue down the jungle bans route. And there is the Syndra to be taken away from Caps. Wonder what that means as far as what Chovy wants to be picking up here. But first, G2 going to lock in their AD carry. Lulu Ezreal makes me feel not so happy, as Hans Sama being a bit of a Draven guy
That
in
would
the
make me
past.
happy.
Very
I would
old
feel
school
happy.
for his Draven, but I feel like every time he locks it in internationally, it doesn't go that well. The Draven would be cool, though. It would be such a throwback to how Hans Sama originally made his name on the scene.
And there's the
Oh, you
Kog'Maw.
called it! Nice
All right,
call!
beautiful. And I kind of would have liked Jinx more, but still the Kog'Maw is going to be picked up, does have a lot of long range, and of course, the Hex Optics has been
back.
buffed. And like you say, yeah, bit of Juggernaut to come on through here for G2. What is the response from Gen.G, though?
Yeah, with the extra Shen shield on top of Lulu shields, you can just stand there and spit on them. Just keep auto-attacking.
Absolutely.
Don't waste time walking around.
Ooh, here's the pivot that we talked about, though.
And this is the pick that I was expecting Kiin to go towards a bit earlier on in this series as well. His Gwen is very, very good. Although, Gen.G, just in general today, have not been all that great. So, see whether that is something that BrokenBlade can capitalize on, as now to round out this draft, looking for Chovy's pick in the mid lane. Does have to be blind. You see what it is going to be.
Because I feel like G2's probably thinking Azir. So
Yeah,
I was just thinking to myself,
Azir.
do you consider picking it away? The problem is, does this open up an Akali?
I think it might.
I don't know if it makes sense in the context of the comp for G2.
No, if you're trying to play around
and they
Hans.
lose 1 health, right? Because you got 2 ninjas in the team.
Ah, shoot.
Yeah, you can't do that.
That sucks.
It's actually illegal. Obviously, they did take away that interaction, but it did used to exist.
I'm trying to think of like what other things you can pick into Azir, like with Rise got. Oh no, he slams it!
He just did it!
He actually slams it. I didn't think that it would make sense in the context of the comp. But the thing is, right? The thing that when you have to think about Akali is how much CC does the other team have, and there's really only Neeko, which shouldn't really be used as a peel tool to protect. Ideally, it's an attack.
Yeah,
right?
they're going after Kog'Maw with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but also Shen synergizes well with the Akali as a backline threat. Lulu can provide peel for both the Kog'Maw and the Jarvan, and even with all this backline dive, I feel like that there's a lot of peel. So, like, I do like what Gen.G have drafted, even though G2 have drafted, even though Gen.G do have decent answers.
Also, Akali does something very important here for the comp overall for mid-game too. Akali can play into Gwen really easily and into Azir. So you can play that into both solo lanes. So I think it's a really actual good, super good 5-pick, not just for the trying to kill the Azir in lane, but...
And the 1-3-1 is absolutely terrifying as well, considering the fact that there is a Shen on the map. You can always collapse if they decide that they want to try and take down the Kog'Maw. Yeah. I think that what G2 have put together is kind of beautiful after that 5th pick was locked in.
My only concern is like damage. On the other side of Gen.G, they basically have 4 damage dealers. So if one falls, they still have backup. If Kog'Maw dies, a lot of your damage disappears. Shen doesn't have that same kind of threat. Jarvan is in the same position. So a lot of your eggs are in the Kog'Maw basket, because if Akali falls behind in the early game or doesn't have kill threat in the mid game, then like you're very reliant on Hans Sama to be your main DPS.
I will also say, though, that Gen.G are not tanky, so base damages of the other G2 champions do go a long way. Oh man, this is so exciting, jumping into game number 3, because for this whole series, it has looked like Gen.G, the colossal favorites for the entire tournament, can't do anything versus G2. G2 have just been methodical, they have been disciplined, and they have destroyed Gen.G for the first 2 games.
It's going to have to be a big turnaround, and I don't think the draft has necessarily given us a massive amount of confidence in Gen.G either. I feel like they were just trying to answer what G2 were doing, not with a clear game plan of their own. And like you were saying, Vedius, there's not a whole lot of CC here to start fights. The engage options are kind of throw Duro in there and hope that he can hit as many people as possible with a Pop Blossom. I don't know whether that is necessarily going to be all that consistent. As otherwise, playing through side lanes certainly something that you could make happen. But live now, the Act 2 Battle Pass bundle. Purchasing unlocks the Prestige Requiem Sona skin and the Chronos. Log in, pick that one up if you would like it. And let's just see whether the bounce back can come on forward. Because I'm personally pretty okay with some more League of Legends today, outside of just 3 games.
Unfortunately, I have
especially
so far,
in this position.
I have only cast 3-0 so far at this tournament, Atlus.
Well, there's always time for change.
Yeah, I'm open for it. But let's see, jungler's pathing towards the bot side of the map, kind of been the story of the entire series. Mid lane, Chovy naturally has that prio just because he has a range advantage. Caps being forced to play safe with the Duro and shield, has that decent amount of sustain to kind of weather the pressure that Chovy's going to be exerting. And on the bot lane, 2 versus 2.
Ooh, backflip did connect there as Caps doing a lot of damage with that 5-point strike. Chovy not even able to hit that auto as Caps will find the second one, and those Qs really starting to stack up. Chovy probably going to have to go for a reset here. It looked like he was in a lot of control of that lane, but Caps finding the backflip shuriken is just so much damage in these trades.
Meanwhile, we get the tail end of the trade here where Kiin went aggressive while his cannon was low, so he's able to push BrokenBlade away.
And now going to be used here as the heal comes out just defensively here from Duro.
They tried to use that level advantage just as they ticked over to 3. They tried to rush in, get a good chunk, but Duro quick on the finger with the heal, gets himself to safety. The bot crab now going to be the focus as SkewMond looks to grab that one for himself.
BrokenBlade having a good time here on this top side of the map as well. Into Kiin's Gwen.
Do you know if the Spirit's Refuge stops Gwen from building stacks, or does she have to...
It blocks the auto completely.
Yeah,
but
so
does it stop the stack generation?
I would think so.
Assuming so.
Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with the matchup to know, because it seems like in the early game,
it depends if it's on hit or on attack.
That's
because
what I'm wondering,
if it's on attack, then
it doesn't matter.
You're still getting your attack off, but if it's on hit, it does block the hit.
Because it basically just slows Gwen down in all of the early trades, right? Because her biggest strength is she's not reliant on the autos, she does rely on her Q and how quickly it stacks up when you're in the midst of these fights.
And sometimes it's a little weird which things are on attack or on hit are coded.
Well, Caps, you can see with the big minion wave to pick up as this one does crash forward, but looking a little worse for wear as far as that health bar is concerned. SkewMond on vision, but the backflip does connect onto Chovy.
You won't take it though, the minion wave's too big.
Yeah, and Chovy, full information of SkewMond there as well.
Exactly. All right, back into second full clears for both junglers then. Meanwhile, Caps is still fine, by the way. He still has his potion, so he's just trying to min-max here with his regeneration. Off of his...
Now he finally pops it.
There we go.
It's really common on Akali as well. You feel like that against an Azir early, he doesn't really have a huge amount of kill threat. There's always ways to play around it just because of the Shroud. His Sand Soldiers become redundant. They can't hit you if they don't have a target. So Caps feels pretty safe in this lane. He's got his TP as well. He picks up that wave and he's going to go back to base. Now, normally you go for an early amp to him. Maybe you get boots early as well, just so it's easier to go for those trade patterns against the range that Azir has. The refillable is also super important just because you need that extra bit of sustain. Or you just buy a Hextech Alternator and come back to lane and say, I'm going to hit you now for a lot of damage.
I like that option. Big damage, look for the burst. You're going to get to level 6, and BrokenBlade taking a little bit of damage himself. But on the topic of boots, I think Boots investment for Kog'Maw is always really, really wise because you just want to play around your W cooldown for activation. You pop your W and go super aggressive and push them off the wave. And Hansam and Labrov have done a very good job early on as we're seeing a patient SkewMond hover around.
Yep, there's the backflip once again as Chovy could be in trouble. Shifts the sands and does get out of the way of the flag and drag. But that is going to mean Chovy going to have to go back one more time, and that CS lead that he has is dwindling. Some
mind games there from SkewMond. He did the EQ. It was clear that it wasn't going to hit, but he wanted to threaten the flash. And so Chovy was kind of had to put into a position, are you going to play this game of chicken? Are you going to flash preemptively, worried that the Jarvan's going to knock you up, or are you going to stand your ground? But Chovy, he's steadfast, and he doesn't respond, so no flashes end up being traded.
Yeah, I like that because, you know, even if a Jarvan does flash his EQ at you, it doesn't come with the damage. You know, it just gives you the knockup, and you don't actually get the E and the Q damage there. So Chovy's like, all right, fine, do it if you want.
Yeah. SkewMond now does find some vision here as Emperor's Divide preemptively onto Caps, unable to actually quite get the damage on over, but now Canyon could be in trouble, and Chovy doesn't have that ulti to help out in this skirmish.
Caps also hesitant to commit his ultimate. He realized how much mobility Canyon has and how close he is to the tower, so he doesn't want to run that risk, but the bot lane's now getting involved. Caps very low.
Just fighting for the Scuttle Crab.
Level 6 acquired. They've got the Scuttle Crab. They've got the ult on their jungler, so you better get out of town, Gen.G. This is G2 territory around that dragon. We've won and lost many games in the LCS around the dragon Scuttle Crab for level 6 for junglers, and around the world as well.
It's an epidemic in the LCK as well. Don't you worry, Kobe. This is
Wow, very
all
nice
around the world. As barrier going to need to be used there from Ruler.
Oh,
now
no.
Canyon in a bit of trouble here. Level 5 to level 6. The Cataclysm does come out, gets the flash, and Canyon just has to get out of there.
That is so classic Canyon.
Oh, the flash forward in first blood to Caps!
I thought so. I mean, Caps, he saw it. He was pushing it. He was like, there's no way this man is getting away completely scot-free for doing this. He's got the R2. I don't think he's going to get much off the back of it, but an Akali getting first blood, great start for G2.
That is so classic. And G2 are like, no way, buddy. None of your little antics are going to occur in this game. And they slap him down. SkewMond immediately turns on him, doesn't let the dragon get any lower, and they put a stop to that. Wow.
And it's the same story as the last 2 games, already out to over a 500 gold lead here quite early into the game for G2. This time around, not necessarily based on the bottom lane. That one is still very, very even. But the advantages that G2 have been building have just been so consistent throughout this series.
And the craziest thing about this series is the way that it looks, right? It's not even all the results, but it looks like Gen.G are panicking at every moment, and they feel so much pressure to do something. They're like, guess I gotta go try and smite steal this dragon versus a level 6 Jarvan, or I gotta, they feel so pressed and pressured because G2 have been playing so well.
Oh my god, I just looked at the... So I am a big Akali enthusiast, if you hadn't guessed. But I'm looking at his items. He comes back to lane with perfect items. Just absolutely perfect.
Perfect.
It's so good as an Akali. You'll come back with boots, you have the refillable, you've got the Fiendish Codex, getting that extra bit of haste as well. And now you should feel... Oh my god. Perfect!
And... fun fact, gentlemen, as well, this is the exact matchup that Chovy was solo killed by Vikla in.
Oh.
That has happened earlier on.
The LCS mid laner Vikla, that Vedius term?
Again,
Indeed.
I didn't...
You said that.
No, the words... We won't get into this. We'll discuss this later.
He did play in the LCS.
Thank you. Yes, that was my point.
We can give him
BrokenBlade. Interesting. So our stats person, by the way, Vedius.
Yeah. You have a stat for us?
The LCS stat person.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
When he heard the talk about Han's history and wanting to jump in and get on this G2 win for us, he was like, Kobe, did you know Han Sama's win rate before going to the LCS was 51.7. In the LCS, it went up to 64.6%, and then post-LCS, after returning to LEC, 65.7. Like, he's basically implying that we made him better.
He wouldn't be here without the LCS?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. And you know what? I'm not making that argument, but our stats person is, and so I do think that we should give it some consideration.
I see. Okay. Yeah, we'll take it.
It's just a free pass, is it, Kobe?
We'll take it under advisement.
I see what you're doing.
I'm considering it. We've always said Hans is our GOAT.
Just considering it after going on about it for an entire game.
Once an A, always an A.
Well, listen, this is a win for the West if they can close it out. But let's see if they can close it out, because, of course, Gen.G, they still earned that pedigree for a reason, and they're definitely not out of this game by any means. There's only a 400 gold difference between the two teams as we hit that 10-minute mark. Grubs are available. The first one has been secured by SkewMond, but given the priority on Grubs, he said, yeah, one's enough, and he'll just leave that objective for the time being. Meanwhile, the rest of the map just continues to farm away.
Ooh, public execution. They're diving onto Caps. They want to try and take down this Akali, but he just gets away. And yeah, it's always difficult to lock down this champion. I don't know why I got all that excited, but wanted to throw the ulti down.
Yeah, I mean, if Chovy maybe had been a little closer, a little bit faster, maybe there's a world where they could have gotten a little bit more out from Caps, especially given that he had no flash available, but Rocket Belt going to be secured. Personally, a big fan of the Gunblade, but I understand having that extra mobility in the earlier spike is also something I like to see. Ulti?
Yeah, Kiin does get into his mist, but everyone else is able to pile in there as well. The needlework trying to keep him alive. It's can he find this snip as Caps comes over and he's going to help lock down this Gwen. Took 3, but Kiin still goes down.
I swear, it just looks so one-sided, this whole series. I mean, you got your Gwen walking up there, uses the skip and slash really early on.
He's just trying to get a ward, right? He just wanted a bit of deep vision, thought he was safe to do so, and then Chovy goes back to base, so it's easy for the roam to Caps. Caps probably wasn't really necessary there, and it looked close because you got to remember that a Shen doesn't really have an ult in a skirmish like that, but he did end up committing it, keeps his Jarvan alive. SkewMond then ends up picking up the kill.
Yeah, it's not a safe timer, though, to kind of go for it. And
would you say that they didn't identify the tempo markers?
Atlus.
So I wouldn't, but I know that you and Jat both would for sure.
He was encouraging me.
Yeah,
I have to say.
Some of it did feel like rage bait. And I
mainly for you,
I was
mainly
successfully
for you.
baited. That's,
Let's have a look at the Coinbase Gold Grind, though. Caps versus Chovy looking quite good for the Akali when you're supposed to have a little bit of a rough time. Pre-6, he didn't, and he's able to put himself together about a 500 gold lead. Drake is going to spawn here. Second of the game will be an Infernal. Gen.G do want to try and contest this.
One important thing out of that skirmish on top side, Shen ult was used, so at least G2 don't have that.
Well, they do have Caps moving over first. Chovy going to have to come in a little bit late. Does have the Emperor's Divide and his flash up and available. Caps does have the ulti as well. As there's the flash Pop Blossom. They find the public execution. Labrov goes down before anything can happen, but they immediately trade it for Duro. Emperor's Divide's good this time, but Caps does close the distance once again with another perfect execution. Still, the Drake will go over. It's a 1-for-1, but getting the objective was the main thing.
Yeah, nice reactions there from G2. They know Duro wants in, and he does get in, but it's only to kill Labrov 1-for-1 with the supports. Both Caps and Hans investing their flashes here. And you know, Labrov just takes the death and says, okay, fine, it'll be 1-for-1. We still get the dragon.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was the fact that Hans and Caps invested their flash to make that play.
Yeah.
Caps was in a bit of an awkward spot. He wanted to create a flank, but he was marked. Caps now going in.
Yeah, Chovy tagged once again with the back foot. The flash does come forward to try and deliver him a turret shot. Chovy wants to try and get some autos through, but he's still looking worse for wear. And every move Caps makes, I swear, I'm terrified for Gen.G.
I mean, yeah, he's close to that level 11 as well. It's a really nice spike for Akali, getting that second point in your ult. The cooldown reduced quite a lot along with the damage. But again, keep your eyes on the positioning of Caps here. He knows that he has to flash over the wall. Duro only connects onto the support, and as Kobe was saying, it ends up just being a trade of supports. Caps wants to fish for more. He recognizes it, and Chovy has to commit that ultimate to protect him. Uses the R2 to get over the wall, but then he doesn't have anything less to keep the chase going. You can see that when these skirmishes, like, that felt very one-sided, even though it was a 1-for-1.
Right now, G2 with just over 1,000 gold in the lead. Ruler going to be moving towards his top side of the map, trying to get as much money as he can. Wanting to put together his cull. Only a stack or two to go, so there is the cash in. That is going to even out the gold just a little bit there. And this time around, Ruler is not extraordinarily far behind, which has been the case in the last couple of games. Might be something that Gen.G can play around. I'm still a little bit worried about the fact that there is an Akali in this game, and she is pretty good at assassinating any chosen target, especially when the CC is lacking on the side of Gen.G. I think defensive play is going to be so hard for Gen.G in the remainder of the game.
You know, the one thing I feel like we didn't talk a huge amount about, but I think could be massive, is the polymorph from Labrov. When I've seen it so many times now where like a Gnar goes in, gets ready for the big ult, insta-polymorph, they one-shot him. And I'm thinking about this Gwen, the possibility, Canyon, the same thing, maybe even Duro. I mean, of course, if he gets polymorphed and he's already ulting, then it doesn't really change a huge amount. He's still going to get the ult off.
Yep. You'd be flaming Labrov then.
Yeah, I probably would be.
Because I think your point about the melee carries is really good. Use it on them.
So we'll see if he can have that type of impact as we get closer and closer to these big fights. Herald going to be spawning relatively soon, along with the Dragon, which is 2 minutes away. Right now, both teams prioritizing, just getting that farm down, contesting for vision. Nice ward coverage overall from Gen.G. SkewMond feeling very confident to walk into Gen.G's half of the map.
Duro is going to have to give away that it is himself and not Ruler that was caught out. Does throw down the snare, but that does stop the Jarvan from doing too much. We'll find him once again as Duro taking a lot of damage. Cataclysm comes down, holds him down with the Pop Blossom, but I have a feeling he's still dead. There it is. Last auto attack is going to do it. And now with Labrov, so much shield for SkewMond here is now Chovy in trouble as BrokenBlade just kills him. What was that? How did that happen?
BB just won 2 fights at the same time. He shadowed the Jarvan and then he just kills Chovy.
I was watching the minimap because I could see like both top lane, well, Chovy and BrokenBlade knew what was happening. BrokenBlade was ready to ult in, but Chovy saw it, and so he went underneath the tower to interrupt him. But by going underneath the tower, I have to assume BrokenBlade taunted him, giving him a health advantage and winning out the fight. That would be my assumption, but G2 with a massive swinging gold, getting the Herald as well. I mean, they've just taken firm control over Game 3.
Yeah, another game where it looks like Gen.G, the colossal underdogs here, versus G2, the new tournament favorites, Vedius. We'll have to deal with the BLG type of stuff.
Caps
Ooh, doesn't quite find the backflip here as Canyon wanted to take away the Raptor. Isn't even going to be able to do that as Slurkle slows down Hansama momentarily. And Hansama just stands his ground. Ruler is almost just dead. Living Artillery comes on through. Thankfully, Duro is able to hit the snare. And Hans is still looking for an option. The dash has to be used from Ruler. Oh my goodness.
Right,
G2 are just winning everywhere.
So BrokenBlade is looking at his minimap.
Has to be.
Yeah, ults underneath, gets hit by the tower shot. He flashes, taunts. He just straight up kills him. That's crazy.
The Q autos just do so much with Titanic Hydra. It is ridiculous. And Chovy didn't have anything left. I don't even think he needed to interrupt the ulti either. He probably should have just let him go and taken the turret.
Yes, I agree. Because as Kobe said, they already get the kills in the jungle anyway. He would have been left and it would have opened up the tower. Instead, 2 kills go the way of G2. The Herald secured as well.
And Titanic Hydra on Shen is huge damage with your auto attack resets. And then once BrokenBlade gets his Dusk and Dawn, BrokenBlade is laughing at him.
All right, well, there's a flag and drag onto Ruler. Takes half of his health bar as SkewMond dives on top of him.
They're actually making fun of them.
It's crazy. This is crazy to watch, Vedius.
Like, this is what Gen.G does to teams. This is not what G2 does to them. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Change your narrative right now.
It is certainly being adjusted.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, it was exciting when KC managed to make it to the finals of First Stand. A lot of EU got incredibly excited that, like, there was another team that could compete internationally, but then when they went up against HLE, reality hit us hard, right? So the fact that we met Gen.G now in the semifinals, everyone's expectation naturally shifts to, well, there's not much that we're going to be able to do. We had a good run. At least we made the top 4. So for them to be having a performance like this, I mean, I can feel the hope returning for Europe.
Yeah.
It really feels revitalized. Even if Gen.G make this reverse sweep, the hope is there.
Yeah, I don't think it matters what happens from this point out. I think G2 have been absolutely phenomenal as Kiin will be able to escape, but does have to use the needlework on his way out. Holds onto the flash, which is important, but will not hold on to this outer turret that Caps is able to take down. You were talking already about the fact that this Akali does just fit so well into any side lane option.
Yeah,
and so Caps is just going to be such a problem later on in the game, not to mention the fact that they lack the CC to deal with him. Like, the Akali was just a masterstroke.
And not to mention, when I was talking about the side lanes and Akali being great and going into either one, I didn't even give the respect to BrokenBlade, who can just BrokenBlade can just dump on them too. Like, it's crazy. When he gets Dusk and Dawn completed, Vedius, the burst image is so crazy with the double activation. You Q early to get the stacks, and then the cooldown starts ticking, and then you can go for your big flash play, your Dusk and Dawn, and your reset with your Titanic Hydra.
And then he does Bandle Pipes to round out the build.
Yeah, heck yeah. Because that's for the dancing on them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, he's putting his Bard cosplay on.
But holy, it is really crazy how the giant narrative shift that will occur because of this series. And BLG did do some nasty things to you, but you can figure that out later.
LPL and finals is the conversation we need to have later. Right now, let's just live in the highlights.
Yeah. Crossing bridges when we come to them. That's what we want to be doing here today.
That's the 3rd outer tower secured, and I cannot believe that in this series, like, Gen.G is so slow to secure a first tower. Like, Game 2, I think, was their quickest one, but in Games 1 and Game 3, 3 towers have fallen, 0 for the side of Gen.G.
Man. And they have Soul Point as well, so it's Cloud Soul coming up in 3 minutes' time. Gen.G just haven't been able to do anything on this map at all. Caps now on this side lane, looking for some shurikens, things like that, as Kiin doing his very best to try and stay relevant. The problem is there are gold leads absolutely everywhere now. As Caps does go back to base. Chovy doing the same thing. I wonder when the next fight is going to occur. The Baron has just spawned. I don't think doing the Baron on spawn is really what we're looking for, outside of the fact that there is a Kog'Maw who does shred through the Baron extraordinarily quickly. And yeah, that lane economy snapshot is not looking great for Gen.G.
I expected that I was going to have to be up here, like, hugging Vedius halfway through this series, but I actually have to comfort you.
I was going to say, I'm going to need a hug, Cody.
What in the heck?
Do I even deserve it, though? I mean, the LCK has been relatively strong over the years. This is just completely uncharted territory.
Honestly, it honestly feels like the fans don't know what to do either. They're like,
I don't know what to do. I'm still kind of
what to do. They're like, whoa, what's happening? What are we watching right now?
We're watching a stomp. A 3K gold lead, 21 minutes in. Caps has the E. Get back to his shroud. Gets a big chunk of gold on this bot tower. And they're just keeping the pressure up. 1:45 until the next dragon. And that'll be Sol.
And Gen.G going to have to try and find themselves a team fight that they're going to have to miraculously win. And the problem is, with the fact that nothing has really happened for the last, feels like 10 minutes, everyone has flash. Like, there are so many options as far as escape from Pop Blossoms here are concerned, as Kiin, fighting against Caps, does have to skip out of the way there. And Caps is still just as deadly as ever. Rule underneath this turret. And we'll be able to clear out the wave at least. Kiin gets hit by the Flagon Dragon, will just be executed here. Caps finds it with the Shuriken backflip and will just finish off this turret as well.
Just destroying them. I mean, SkewMond, perfect position in the fog of war over this little ledge, deleting the side lane. Like, need we say more?
What else is there to say? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
I am flabbergasted. I'm genuinely so shocked at how clean G2 is looking right now. They are riding this wave of confidence. And I mean, we've seen Gen.G collapse at the World Championship, but it felt like that MSI, other internationals, the expectation was that they were stalwart, they were resilient, they couldn't be broken, they couldn't find fault. But here at this tournament, again, they maintained that. They were 6-0 coming into this semi-final. And then G2 has shown up, and now it feels like that we're seeing that version of Gen.G where, like, they have no options. They're not making any plays on the map. They're not really contesting anything. G2 is just taking everything for free and more.
They're just trying to not lose, and they're failing at that.
How come I didn't hear this narrative, you know, going into it with
Ruler.
European... Wait.
Oh dear. The ruler position has now happened. Living Artillery almost just straight up kills him, but he does keep himself alive. Oh, another one coming on through there is level 13 on Hans Sama. The range on that ulti is pretty high, but this is just Cloud Soul.
That's a Soul.
And Gen.G just realize they have to go and try and make some more money elsewhere on the map. I just don't know whether they're ever going to be ready to go for a team fight into this G2 composition, which even in a 5v5 is going to look absolutely amazing. So there is your priceless moment of the game. And yeah, good luck running away from anyone. Thankfully, there is some mist, so the Gwen is still immune. It's maybe not immune to a 3-0 by G2.
So I'm used to these feelings and these stomps where it's kind of like, like all hope is lost in game 3. But normally it's me. Like, I'm the one. And so I'm like, in my head,
I've had some practice. I had it yesterday as well, so I was ready for this.
But Vedius is like, okay, don't sound too sad. Wait, we're winning?
My brain is prepared to be like, it's okay, it's game 2. We had a good fight in game 1 and game 2. It's all good.
How about we glaze BrokenBlade a little more? You know what?
I think we can do that.
I would say BrokenBlade, he has played this role for G2 so insanely well throughout their run. And SkewMond's actually going to maybe go for a fight.
Yeah, finds a knock-up onto Canyon, who immediately has to start flash away. The Cataclysm's gigantic. Pop Blossom is decent this time around, though, and Ruler is free-hitting still. They lose their Neeko. They do get onto the Kog'Maw, though, and manage to take him down, but it's a double for Caps. He is just obliterating Gen.G right now, as Kiin will finally turn up and look to try and take down BrokenBlade, but they're out of there if they want to be, as maybe they're going to look to turn it. There is the taunt onto Kiin. The flash wants to take down Caps, but it just doesn't work. Into the mist he goes. Snip, snip, goes the Gwen, but still they're trying to hold him at arm's length. Another taunt, another snip, and a polymorph from Labrov. Kiin will be able to survive as SkewMond making his way back once again, and Kiin, I don't think he can do this by himself. The Shuriken backflip comes through, and yes, he is just going to have to try and escape, and I don't think this Jarvan is going to let him. SkewMond will shut down the Gwen, but I don't know whether Gen.G are going to lose too much more.
4 members fall. They take out Hans Sama, but what does it cost them? G2 in such a commanding position. The Baron is alive. Canyon is up in 7 seconds. The question is, can he get here in time?
Oh, wait, yeah, never mind. All of G2 just moving over towards this Baron. 25 minutes into the game, Chovy is alive. But I do not think
how long?
they're going to, exactly. If he tries to defend this, I imagine probably just going to be falling down. And so, with Canyon not here, that is very easy smite. And down will go the Baron one more time. G2 just cannot be stopped today.
As we're about to talk about BrokenBlade, you know, SkewMond's like, great, BrokenBlade, ult on me. He goes for the EQ first, then he gets him to dissipate, then Cataclysm in to get all these summoner spells out. It makes it easy for them to kill backline. Chovy's dead, then they chase Ruler, they force Ruler's flash, dive him under turret as well. And then even though Kiin is still left alive on this Gwen, they can dance around him and wait until the other two. Look at that mini-map chase where SkewMond is going to try and chase down Canyon, and the rest of G2 on your screen here are dancing around the Gwen. They're like, okay, actually, the scissors are sharp. Let's call SkewMond back. He's killed off the Ambessa. Get him over here, and then he'll be able to finish the job.
And I mean, hey, like, really maximizing the Kog'Maw passive too. You know, getting the maximum.
That's true. If you don't die on Kog'Maw, you are not doing it right.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah. What?
Yeah.
We are in unprecedented times. Western upsets against the East.
It's 11-2. This is a shellacking.
Yeah, I mean, it was Worlds 2020 where G2 got the 3-0 versus Gen.G, a very different G2 and a very different Gen.G. Back then, G2 was considered like one of the top 4 in the world, a tournament contender.
Absolutely.
And Gen.G was not. The roles are very much reversed coming into this tournament, but it is G2 that is, I mean, defying expectations and is absolutely slaughtering Gen.G in this first stand semifinal.
Let's see whether SkewMond is going to be able to lock them down once again. Down to 50% health, but just walks his way out. And Gen.G just trying their very best to stop this boat from leaking. It is certainly going the way of the Titanic right now, as the inner turret will be taken. And G2 with this Baron running, and with the fact that Hans Sama can just press W and very safely obliterate these turrets, he all of a sudden has 3 items completed. It's Kog'Maw. Even though last time he did get executed, it didn't matter. They have enough backup damage. And Canyon dancing around with SkewMond here momentarily, but they do need to do what they can to try and stop these turrets from just exploding on them. And there it is. On the bottom side of the map, I mean, the 4-1 is just not something that Gen.G can contend with. Saw Kiin there. I was talking about this guy's Gwen as being the most terrifying thing that he could have gone with. When I saw it locked in, I was afraid for G2 as Canyon misses the ulti. BrokenBlade does the walk strategy and gets him out of the way. And as that happens, G2 take down the top inhibitor turret as well. I mean, this is just so much pressure, and Gen.G looks like they have absolutely no idea how to deal with it.
Yeah, they've been completely dismantled by G2 this entire series from beginning to end. And the end is pretty close.
I'm seeing it. I am seeing it arriving. We saw this in the last game. There was one last-ditch effort from Gen.G. But even then, it was not enough to even nearly approach a comeback.
But Gen.G, I mean, the thing that surprises me the most is that they're not going to go out with a roar. They're going to go out with a whimper. Like, I feel like that we've seen nothing from them in this game 3.
Yeah.
2 kills to their name. G2 has been nothing but proactive on the map. They've punished every play that Gen.G
What about an
tried
Elder
to make.
flip?
I mean, right now, that's kind of their best bet, right? Because the Elder is spawning in 10 seconds. Let's see if they can steal this one away.
Well, Gen.G now moving on down. Might actually be able to get into the river here, but they need to get everyone over there. Chovy a little bit late on that one. Goldgraph is going out of the picture with how large it is, as Canyon has started this one up.
That was actually the graph of EU hopium. It's actually just...
It is off the charts right now.
I mean, it's pretty justified in
Caps
this one
TV.
as well. That's all right. Let's see whether Gen.G can find themselves a miracle as Caps. Great flank angle for the teleport, and BrokenBlade just waiting off to the side. Once again, that stands United into a good position. There is a flash forward from Duro. The Emperor's Divide comes down as well as Caps dancing in his shroud, and Chovy so close to dead and will be wiped out. Gen.G will all follow soon, and G2 do not need an Elder Dragon to take down the LCK first seed. They are going to march up the bottom lane and complete back-to-back 3-0 victories over the LCK to get a date in the final.
It has been 2,323 days since G2 has made it to an international final, but finally they will return to that stage as they slaughter Gen.G.
Where did Gen.G go this tournament?
Home.
Wow, yeah, I guess that's a good point.
That's where they're going now.
Maybe they just went home a little bit earlier than they needed to.
The thing for me is, like, I was expecting it to be hard fought. I was expecting it to be if they were going to make it happen, it was going to be a bloodbath, but it wasn't a convincing 3-0.